Hello everybody, this is Godzilla 2010 again, coming at you again with another toy review. Today we're going to be looking at the s.h.monsterarts Godzilla 2014 Spitfire version. Alright. I got this guy about a year ago. He's been sitting down there. He's my only s.h.monsterarts Godzilla. And let's see what he's all about. So let's take a look at him. So first let's start with detail. As many people already know, and I've seen before, many people have seen s.h.monsterarts reviews. Detail is incredible on these figures, especially, I would say this one, detail is really good. Just how much detail went into like the scales, the scuts, the spikes, everything. It's just really wonderfully sculpted. I believe Yuji Sakai does the sculpting for s.h.monsterarts. I want to say that's his name. I think so. I believe he did the sculpt for this particular Godzilla as well. The movie accuracy isn't perfect on this Godzilla. Mostly in the facial regions, I would say. The facial region isn't perfect, and his spikes are a little big. And he's not, like, I don't know. There's something about him that's, like, aside from the face, it's not quite correct, but overall, it gives a really good impression of the 2014 Godzilla, like generally speaking, at least. It's pretty good. Paint. So this is the second version of this figure. This is a repaint. s.h.monsterarts, and I believe is now rather infamous for re-releasing repaints. But this one I think was pretty good, and it was actually cheaper than the regular version. So obviously we have the normal 2014 colors here. We've got the sort of like tannish going on here, not super pronounced like it is on some of the other toys, but there is some tan here, and it's just like a general like really dark brown, like earthy color, or black in some places, dark gray. Very nice. Gives a good impression of the 2014 Godzilla. Inside his mouth here, there's a red tongue, and then his eyes are yellow, like they are in the movie. Obviously, we have the lit up spines, the blue. It's not completely movie accurate because the spines like lit up in a real specific way, but this is just given like a metallic shade of blue down his back here, which, like I said, isn't movie accurate, but I still think it looks really nice. And it's not like done in a sloppy way or anything. Like it looks pretty well done. For articulation, as many people already know, s.h.monsterarts figures are highly articulated. That's one of the main draws of these figures. You can pose them in many different ways. He has a multi-segmented neck here, so he can look in all kinds of different ways. And his mouth can open and close, and it can actually just shift here, like I did there. Arms are on all kinds of weird sockets here. Wrist is rotatable and movable. Legs are the same thing, and all the way down to the ankles. He's got multi-joints here. The tail is especially very jointed and segmented, all the way down to like the very tip here, like just about to there is when the rotation and the joints stop. But yeah, very articulated tail that can do all kinds of different things, and it generally stays in place when you pose it, so that's pretty cool. And then his waist here kind of has several joints as well, so you can kind of make him crunch forward and backwards and swivel to your liking. So that's pretty cool. Very articulated figure. That seems to be a main draw with most Godzilla figures these days, is high articulation, but I like it. Next, we're going to do some scaling and comparisons with other Godzilla figures. So first here, let's pull out the NECA 2014 Godzilla. A very classic comparison here between NECA and s.h.monsterarts, two bigger competing super articulated Godzilla figure lines. Personally speaking, I will give the detail and the articulation to s.h.monsterarts for sure. It's just beautifully sculpted here. NECA does a good job as well, but the custom design here is just, it's not completely movie accurate, but it's perfect, like, for Godzilla. This one, however, movie accuracy by far. Like, the face is absolutely, like, on point with the NECA one. And not every, like, 2014 figure has the face correct as the same thing with this one. But this one, it just nails it. It's perfect. And, like, the only thing I would say about the NECA one is that the tail, you know, it's rubberized down there. The S.H. Monstars does not have that, which is very nice. I don't really like the rubberized tails on the NECA figures. But just generally speaking, I think the NECA one is more movie accurate. And obviously this one doesn't have the glowy spines, but that's just one feature of the S.H. Monsterarts repaint. So overall, they're pretty... I would say they're pretty equal in most standards. I really like both of the figures. I have a bias towards NECA because they're easier to obtain, they're much cheaper, and in some cases, at least, especially in this case, they're more movie accurate, but I have to give credit to S.H. Monsterarts as well. They look really good. Next here, we're going to compare him to the NECA Shin Godzilla. Oh boy, watch out. So here we have the two most recent Godzillas from live action. We have 2016 and 2014, the East versus the West Godzilla, the evil Godzilla versus the Protector Godzilla. So this is an interesting comparison. I actually think it's somewhat accurate, like scale-wise, because I forget exactly how tall Shin Godzilla is. I think he's 118 meters, and then 2014 Godzilla is 108 meters. It's roughly 355 feet, and that's like 300 and... I don't know, I want to say 380 feet, perhaps. So this isn't, like, this is fairly accurate, because Shin Godzilla, he does kind of crunch over a little bit, but, like, if you pose him up, he is actually taller than the S.H. Monsterarts Godzilla, which is accurate and which is pretty cool. It's just an interesting comparison. I really like both of these movies. I think they're both equally good for completely different reasons, and it's really nice to have two different, like, versions of Godzilla running concurrently with each other from America and from Japan. And obviously we'll have the anime Godzilla movie coming out this year or next year on Netflix, and we've seen trailers of that. We will get a better impression of that Godzilla when that one comes out, the plant Godzilla, I guess, from anime, which is going to be really interesting. I do plan on grabbing a vinyl figure for that one at the very least, just to get another comparison between the most recent versions of Godzilla. So we have, like, I believe that a new era of Godzilla films has started with the 2014 Godzilla. I affectionately call it the Legendary Era. So we have the Showa, the Heisei, the Millennium Era, and then we have the Legendary Era with that 10-year gap between Godzilla films. And we've started with this, and we're moving on to new things. We have the shared MonsterVerse in America. We've got new live-action movies and new anime films in Japan. It's awesome. Awesome time to be a Godzilla fan. So we're going to move him aside. And next we're going to compare him to the Bandai Vinyl Shin Godzilla. Not much else to say here, mostly the same thing. He does actually stand more consistently above this one, so this is actually maybe a better scale. Maybe because he's a little bigger, I'm not exactly sure, but this is still really cool comparison. And next we're going to compare him to his enemy from the movie, Muto. This is the Bandai Vinyl Muto, the male Muto. I don't believe a female version exists. I don't believe a 6-inch female Muto exists, which really sucks because I would love to have one. But, you know. As I've said before, I don't believe this is accurate. I don't believe any scaling with any 6-inch Godzilla, 2014 Godzilla figure would be accurate against the male Muto. This could be accurate against a female Muto. In fact, I think it would. But we don't have that luxury of comparing a 6-inch version. So, but otherwise, they look pretty good together. I mean, this Muto isn't completely accurate, but it's the only version that exists. So, all right. And then, lastly, just for fun, let's compare him to the NECA 1954 Godzilla, just because I had him pulled out. Mostly, I'm just comparing him to Godzillas, as you can see here. So, it's just an interesting. I always enjoy comparing the 54 Godzilla to the most recent version. Like, before 2014 came out, I always used to, like, compare this one and Final Wars together and be like, wow, how has Godzilla's design changed so much over the years? And you can definitely see that in this comparison, how much the design has changed and gone through evolutions and stuff like that, but it still retains the same basic characteristics, which is really cool and interesting throughout the different universes and different timelines and all kinds of different stuff. So really cool to see that comparison again. I always like comparing the 1954 to the most recent version, so we'll have to do that to 2017 when he comes out. Okay, next thing, let's look at his box here. This is his box. He comes in a really nice case here, and inside is blister packaging, which I kept. Very, very nice. It's cardboard on the outside. We have, whoa, watch out there. I bumped into him. So we have the nice photo of the figure here, s.h.monsterarts Godzilla 2014 Spitfire version. Most of the text is in Japanese, but we've got legendary Warner Brothers Godzilla. This figure is made in, the repaint was made in 2015. Official Godzilla trademark, Bandai, Tamashi Nations. On the side here, you just get like more of the promo shot. On the back, you've got him in different poses with his accessories, and we'll get to his accessories here in a second. And I believe that's Yuji Sakai down there sculpting the 2000 Godzilla. And here we get another side profile shot. On the bottom, just a bunch of Japanese. So yeah, that's a really cool box. I love it when figures come in such nice boxes like that. That's one thing I think s.h.monsterarts does better than NECA, is their packaging is better. I do have to commend NECA on their packaging, at least for some of their figures, like the Ultimate line. And then over here, I see you have the NES Godzilla packaging there, which was done really well and done in the same vein as their Ultimate line for their horror figures and whatnot, but most of the time their Godzilla line comes in blister packaging. I'm not a huge fan of blister packaging because I have to throw most of it away, and it just gets like everywhere, and it's really hard to remove the figures from there. So okay, now we're going to look at his accessories. Here we have the stand and the flame breath effect. So here on the stand, it's just the like the official like font title for the movie with some information down there. There's a peg hole here, so where you can fit this thing, which holds the flame breath. And I don't have it positioned perfectly. It doesn't really snap into his mouth anywhere. You just kind of have to fit it in. But yeah, there you go. You can make him breathe his fire breath effect, which is really cool. It would be necessary for this Godzilla, but unfortunately my shelf space does not account for this, so I have to like not pose it like this on my shelf because I don't have the room for it, which kind of stinks. But it's still pretty cool, and I do keep it a display separately. And here we have the alternate hand, which holds the Muto head, the female Muto head, which is the only 6-inch scale female Muto anything. So basically, yeah, the hand just comes separate here, and you just would peg off. I'm not going to do it, but you just peg off one of his hands here and replace it instead of that, so we can mimic the end of the film where he breathed the atomic breath down Muto's neck and was holding the severed head. And there's a lot of nice detail on this too. It's very glossy. See the ripped portion there, and like you can see her eye is still like a real faded red there. Yeah, it looks really cool, and it really makes me wish somebody would do a female Muto. If s.h.monsterarts did a female Muto, or they did both Mutos, I would totally get at least the female one, because I want a female Muto figure. It'd be awesome. But yeah, they did a good job with this, and I don't pose it like this, because technically it's inaccurate too, because he was depowered by the time he was holding the head like this, but it's still a really neat accessory. And I believe if you have the original version, the one without the glowy spines, then you can actually attach it to that version as well, and it will work just the same. In terms of rarity, it's been a while since I've checked on the rarity of this figure because I got him so long ago, but if he's still fairly common. He's one of the most common and easily accessible Monster Arts figures, which is why I purchased this one, just so I could like get my feet wet and see like if I enjoyed the Monster Arts line enough to where I would spend more money. And I do enjoy this line. I just don't know like if I would spend another like $60 on another like Godzilla or Mechagodzilla, even though I do enjoy the amount of accessories they come with and the super articulation and the sculpt. It's just like it's a lot of money to drop on one figure. So we'll see what happens in the future. I'm not sure. For now, this is the only one I have planned to get because he was cheap and accessible, and I'm pretty sure he's still that way now. if not like the most recent like s.h.monsterarts figures are the ones that are cheaper. Like I was originally gonna get the 2001 Godzilla because that's my favorite design, but then when I saw when NECA was coming out, and then I saw how expensive the s.h.monsterarts version would be, like $100 or something like that, or like $80, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna pay the 25 for the NECA one, and I really like the NECA one. I'm sure the s.h.monsterarts one is good, maybe better, but it's so expensive for one figure. I just feel like sometimes it's not worth it, but. With this guy, it had a $60 price tag, but I received him as a gift, so overall, I definitely think it was worth that person's money, and it's really, really cool. I thank them very much for it. But for yourself, I would recommend, like, if you're gonna get an s.h.monsterarts figure, try to follow the news on what's being released next, because as soon as something releases, like you're gonna want to get it while it's new and while it's hot, because after that, then the prices just start going up. Like the s.h.monsterarts Biolante, I think is like $1,000 right now. You're not gonna want to drop that much money for one figure, even though Biolante is really cool and all, and it's just like it's so much money. Like it's just not worth it to me, but. In whatever the case, do your research when you're buying s.h.monsterarts figures. Be careful out there. Spend your money wisely. That's all I would say. But yeah, overall, I really enjoy this s.h.monsterarts 2014 Godzilla. I think it was really cool. The sculpt is amazing, despite some movie accuracy discrepancies. The accessories that come with it are cool, even though I don't display him with that. The articulation is awesome, obviously. It's just a really like solid, like super articulated Godzilla figure that deserves the attention that the s.h.monsterarts line gives it. It was given a good treatment, for sure. And overall, I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. The only things that bug me are the somewhat like the face, mostly the face sculpt not being completely movie accurate, and the fact that the joints can be a little stiff sometimes, and I feel like his legs are like permanently spread like this, and I can't like put them back properly, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. He fits just fine on my shelf, and it looks great there, so yeah, if you can find one for a good price, definitely get him, if you don't already have him and you're an s.h.monsterarts collector. And yeah, if you're a Godzilla collector who doesn't have an s.h.monsterarts figure, I'd say this is a good start as well, considering he's one of the cheapest ones, and he looks great. You're getting enough for your money, I would say, if you're a big fan of Godzilla and the 2014 movie, like I am, and you just want a awesome, super articulated, highly detailed Godzilla figure that doesn't go completely over your budget. So yeah, definitely go ahead and pick them up if you can. Alright, this is Godzilla 2010 signing off. Bye.